him up. Thank you.
First and foremost, I want to thank all you guys for coming out. You guys, a lot of you have been a drive from New England and Cincinnati and stuff, so I want to thank you guys for coming out. And my dad would be humbled to know, we're all here for him and what we've everyone's done for this. As you probably, a lot of you know, he was a guy that liked to do things right. He was a man of integrity and patience, and he put forth a lot of effort in everything he did, and that really reflected into his life. And I remember one time he had me help out on a lot of his projects, and one time he came and asked me, he said, would you come and help me? I need help in the basement. And as usual, I grumbled and groaned about it, as I had a lot of important things to do, procrastinating homework, backyard basketball, and other ways of wasting time. But he really implored, and he said, I really need your help today. And I said, all right, Dad, I'll go do it, whatever. So we go, and I go down into this basement, and I'd been there before. I do a lot of dumb labor there, but he pointed a big coil of wire. It was yellow, and it was electrical wire, and he said, I need you to run wire from a fuse box to these outlets. And I said, okay. He said, and when you're done, we can leave. And actually, I was really excited, because usually it was like, he goes, we'll be here 4 to 5 hours, which meant 6 to 7 or 8 hours. But so he goes, when you're done with that, we can leave. And I said, all right, I'm going for this. I'm going to do it fast. So I started eyeballing measurements and drilling holes, and I think it took me about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and I did it. And I was like, all right, Dad, I'm all done. Come on in and look at my work. And he comes in and he goes, no. He goes, pull it all out, redo it. He goes, it's kinked, it's short, you got to redo it. And I said, I was like, come on, Dad, I spent all this time. And he goes, if you spend time on it, if you really done it the first time, it wouldn't look like this. You wouldn't have to do it again. So, I had to do it again, and it was a tough lesson to learn, because it took me 2 hours just to redo it all and do it correctly. So, he was a guy that liked to do that. He would make me do things the right time, like right the first time, so I wouldn't have to do them again. I would save time ultimately in the end. But he liked to do things right the first time. And another thing he liked to do that I don't know if you know this about it, but he had so many projects he was always doing that he would get stuck on one of them, and then he would jump to another one and jump to another one, and he never really got a ton done, but he got a vast majority of things done. So, and sometimes I was more of a victim of that, because he would say, oh, another thing is, when we're done with this, we can leave, and we never got done with anything, so. But, he had a back injury, I don't know, in his 20s, Mom? Was it 20s? Yeah, so he had a back injury, and sometimes you need younger limbs to do more treacherous jobs, like scraping snow off roofs when it's damming. So I was brought along, and one time we were at this, he had a repeated client that, kept having to do stuff, and so he brought me along for this task of, shoveling snow off, so he gave me a pair of his little Carhartts, and I was suited up, and so I climbed up on this roof, and I'm out there for probably 3 hours, just scraping and doing all this, work. And I guess in the middle of it, I was so focused on scraping and not falling, that my ladder had fallen. And I'm up on this roof in the middle of winter, and I don't know where to get down. So I'm sitting there, and I just kind of go, okay, I'll just chill out here. I'll let him come out and find me. But of course there was a Browns game on, and he was busy, so I kind of go, all right, well, I'll wait, and I'll wait it out. I started kind of going, Dad, Dad, come on, Dad, no clue. So I kind of scurry, and I noticed there's a big snow pile from the plow had left it, so I scurry along the roof where the snow plow is, and I'm kind of crouched there, debating whether or not this is a good idea, and I can see into the window, and it's actually funny because I can see his tuft of hair, and I go, oh no, he's right there. I'm just like, look up, and he's underneath the sink doing something. And I waited there probably 20 minutes going, look up, and he did it. So then I finally decided to jump into the snow pile, and it's only about 5 feet, but I'm 14, 16, I don't know what it was, and it's scary. So I finally do launch myself, but I kind of slid and struggled off. But I get into the snow pile, and I land straight up, and then up to my neck in snow. So now I'm at another predicament.
Don't play with that.
But it's that, as he would have it, he, in his perfect impeccable timing, he came out right then, and he looks up at the roof and goes, "Oh, hey, the Browns are winning." And then he yanks me out, and I think I was mad at him probably for a little bit, just because I was probably still shaken up from jumping off that roof. But but the thing was about my dad is, you couldn't stay mad at him. He had this way of connecting with people, a way of, looking at them and making it feel important. And he kind of looked at me and just goes, "You know what? You do some crazy crap sometimes." And so I laughed with him, and we laughed on the way home. I think I got a Chipotle out of him or something. And I think that what I'll probably remember the most about my dad was riding him with every morning to school. We had normally it's about a 40-minute drive to Cleveland, so with him it was 25 to 30. And and every morning we woke up, or he woke up and would come wake me up. Because we had to get up real early to go into school. And I think in the morning there wasn't a lot of talking, but I kind of liked it that way. It was too early. I wasn't really listening to anything, but we would listen to Howard Stern together. So it was fun because my dad had a lot of stuff going on. He was serious about a lot of stuff, but it was nice to see him laugh. He was always laughing.
What is that?
And so I think it was fun to laugh along with him. And then when I would get after school, my sister had a lot of volleyball stuff going on. So my mom wasn't home making a lot of meals that year, or one year in particular. But he and I would, we lived off Chipotle, Penn Station, and all these other sub places. But we would get in the car and be like, "Okay, so where do you want to go to dinner?" And so what were the options? He would say, "Okay, we have these, this, and this." And you could never tell which one he wanted because they were all equally great. And so, but we would ride home together and we would get food, and we just talked about my school. He was always interested in what was going on at Ignatius. And I was interested in his work. At that point I was interested in becoming a lawyer, an attorney, and he told me a lot about the practice. Told me about what was going on. And then about his projects that he was working on, and we talked about the sports usually, with Cavs before Ron, and then so we had some great conversations, and I think that I really connected with my dad there, and it was a time that I got my dad to myself, and I wasn't sharing with my family or anybody else that wanted to. This is like the nicest thing that anyone's ever done for him. And the money that was raised for him, And my dad had this thing that he said he always was like a pay it forward kind of guy. He always was doing things for other people, not just because he wanted something in return, but because he knew it was the right thing to do. And I read a lot of stories on the Caring Bridge website. I don't know if you guys have been on that, but some of the things that were said was one lady wrote that he every morning he would come out and salt her driveway for her, and he didn't have to. She wasn't paying him, but he did it because he was that kind of guy. And I think that if there's any lesson I probably learned from him is that paying it forward is the only the best way to do things. And and like I said, he would be shy and blushing at all this work that we've done for him. And, he would be like, "Oh, it wasn't me." Other people they're the ones that donated. But I want to thank you guys. I want to thank those who donated and everyone else for being here in general. My family and I really appreciate it.